And we're live. Hey everyone, and welcome to the info session with the Firehouse Project. I'm Marco. I'm one of the code mentors here, and I'll run you guys through our info session today. So what are we going to cover? First things, I want to run you guys through our core curriculum and talk a little bit about how we customize that for job seekers, career switchers, and entrepreneurs alike. Then we'll talk a little bit about the support system, mentorship sessions, our Q&A forum, agile team meetings, and also our virtual office hours that we have once a week. And then last, I want to answer a question that I get a lot, which is like, what can I actually do once I graduate from the Firehouse Project, besides like having my own application live or actually having finding a job as a web developer, being part of the technical team at a tech company or a startup. All right, let's jump straight in. Core curriculum, I want to run you guys through. First of all, it's a 15-week-long program. The first two weeks is our Firehouse intro. We give that away for free right now. If you have not applied for that, I highly recommend you go through. You work on your coding fundamentals. You build a splash page with HTML, CSS, and write a lot of Ruby code. And we review actually all of your code. And then once you pass all the coding challenges and we give you the thumbs up, we accept you into the full program. So that's the 13 weeks after. So definitely a lot of you guys on the webinar right now in the info session already are going through the pre-work, the Firehouse intro. If you have not applied yet, do so. Go to theFirehoseProject.com, look in the top nav, there's a little link, get started, hit that, fill out the application, and get started with that. For everyone else, after you've gone through the 2 weeks and we accept you in a full program, we start you off in the first week. We're building your first fully functional web application and launch that live on the internet. That application is a pretty simple one, right? It takes a sentence from a user, stores it in a form, stores it in a database, and randomly displays that on the page. So it's not that challenging, but what it gives you is a 360-degree of all the tools that you're going to be using, right? Because you're writing Ruby code, you're using the Rails framework, using Postgres database, using Git and GitHub for version control and backing up your code and sharing it with people, using Heroku as your server. So these are professional tools, and we do that right in the first 10 hours. You actually build the web application and ship it live on the internet, right? And the goal we're shooting always for is if you pull out your phone and you show the web applications that you're building with us, your friends should be saying nothing else but, oh wow, you built this? This looks awesome, right? That's what we're shooting for. So things would always need to look good on tablet, desktop, and mobile. So responsive mobile-first design principles, right? It's the first application. That's about 10 hours with us. We keep the learning curve steep, moving on to your next application. That's a Yelp clone, right? I think the most important feature that we're building in a Yelp clone is actually the integration with the Google Map API. So we need to write the code, and if a user types in an address for a place, we take that address, translate it into latitude and longitude coordinates, and pass that back to the Google Map API so we get the pin on the map. Now, that's one feature, but it wouldn't be a fully functional web application, nothing real if that would be the only thing that we're building. So obviously you want to have star ratings, user comments, so there's interaction going on. Obviously also what I want, if I have a place on that Yelp clone listed, if somebody gives me a rating, I'd like to get an automated email notification when that comment actually happens or that rating happens, right? And that drives users back to your platforms as a really good tool of engagement, right? We integrate with the SendGrid API there. So that's something really good for sending automated, so-called transactional emails from your application when certain actions happen. Then obviously we built a little analytics dashboard as well for all the users, so you can see how many ratings you receive, what the average 5-star ratings are, what kind of comments you receive, what kind of places you have. And obviously you need to log in, log out, user registration, user editing. We built that as well, right? That usually takes our students about 3 weeks. Then we move on to the next, and that's test-driven development. We're building an app with test-driven development in mind. For everyone who doesn't know what test-driven development is, it's the industry standard. You need to write software tests, automated software tests, to automatically test if all your features are working at every given moment. That's what you want to do. It's the bread and the butter as a web developer in any team. If you're an entrepreneur, you better know how to do that, because what do users like the least is broken features, things that don't work, and that test-driven development helps you to not have broken features. So doing that is really important. Run you through that so you know how to write really good Ruby code to build those automated software tests and build an application with that TDD in mind. Next up, we build a two-sided marketplace, an online education platform. In that platform, what you really were building is something like Skillshare or Udemy, right? There's instructors on one side, there's students on the other side. And students can come in and purchase courses that instructors are building. So when I say purchase, that means, yeah, we can accept credit card and payment information on the platform and actually have money running through. So then we need to obviously track on a database level who paid for what and who's an instructor, who's a student, and how does the money go through the platform. Now, the other thing that we're introducing there is JavaScript, right? It's something really important. It's important to know enough JavaScript to actually build an improved user interface. What we're building is a drag and drop interface for the instructors, so you can actually, as an instructor, reorganize your individual lesson blocks without refreshing the page. So we do an AJAX call there, and that's when we introduce JavaScript, at that point when you need it, when you can actually build a better user interface and improve the user experience at that moment for the users on the platform. Obviously, there's also user login, logout for the two-sided marketplace, the Stripe API integration to handle the payment flow, and then also like the deep database relationships of how we tracking the instructors and the users who purchased what and how the money flows through. It's one of the key features. Obviously, we need video streaming technologies as well, so we pack that in as well. That usually takes our students about maybe 3 or 4 weeks to finish that. Now, throughout that whole first 4 weeks, the other thing that's really important that we're doing is running through our students through the coding challenges, right? There is a lot of algorithmic challenges where you need to write really good Ruby code to solve those. And you start learning that in week 2 and run you through the entire program. Now, at that week 8 point, when you're done with your two-sided marketplace, the Udemy Club, we split our program up. There's entrepreneurs on one side, there's career switchers and changers on the other side. Let's talk about the guys who want to have a job as a junior web developer first. What we're going to do with you guys is we put you on a group project. And we do that because in the real world, the best software is built by amazing teams. And you guys want to be part of an amazing team. And we do that right in the program for full 4 weeks. So actually, oftentimes it's 5 or 6 weeks, but let's just say it's 4 weeks for now. So what that means is you're going to build an advanced web application together with you. And what we're building is a chess game as a group. Now, a lot of people go like, come on, Marco, a chess game, that's not that exciting. Well, but it is technically really challenging, and it impresses hiring managers and senior web developers. Because if you think about the logic that we need to write to automatically check if checkmate happened after a move, that's really complicated. And that actually gets senior web developers excited about, how would I implement that? And that is key, because it's not just something that like a Yelp clone, a Udemy clone. Those are relatively simple apps to build. But a chess game, that's really high-end, that's complicated to do. Doing that as a team and making sure you have your software tests written and working is really challenging. So using GitHub in advance, we're ready to do pull requests, doing code reviews, that as weekly agile team meetings with a mentor, so make sure that everyone is on top of things and things get built consistently. And then also like that critique of code that was reviewed by your teammates and how you improve that. That's just crucial, showing how you interact with other people. That's exactly what hiring managers are looking for, is your code quality and how you interact and how you improve your code, how you refactor your code. So having the group project under your belt is a key competitive advantage against every other applicant for a given job who does not have that experience. So it's the bread and butter. Best software, again, it's written by amazing teams. You want to make sure you're a high-impact employee from day one, because you know how to work as a team. That's the main reason why we have the group project, and we put such a big emphasis on it. Now, for all the entrepreneurs, right? You guys who have an idea and you really want to launch it, we take the last 4 weeks, we look at your idea, we split it up, we wireframe it out. So every single screen of your application, we draw out before we split it up into individual coding steps, and then together with your mentor, make sure you launch your application, launch that minimum viable product, so you can get that user feedback. That's pretty much the program that we have right now. Again, right, starting you guys out with the 2 weeks of the pre-work to work on your coding fundamentals, accepting you in a full program if you perform well there. And then throughout the 13 weeks, we have you build several web applications, 4 web applications, and then either your own as an entrepreneur or put you in a group project to build a really advanced web application that packs in the full algorithmic power that you learned before. Now, let's step back and talk about the support system, right? 3 moving pieces or 4 moving pieces, right? We have the Q&A forum, we have the virtual office hours, we have the one-on-one mentorship sessions, and we also have the agile team meetings for the group project. Now, I usually like to start out talking about the Q&A forum, and people do, come on, mentorship sessions, that's where it's at. But it's what the Q&A forum enables you guys to do, right? Think about you coding on Thursday night and you run into an error message. Now, you need help right then and there. So rather than waiting for your mentor, you can take a screenshot of the error message, put it in the forum, and you get help within an hour or 2. So helping you get unstuck when you need it is really important so you can continue learning. And that also enables you to come to the mentorship sessions error-free. So rather than coming to mentorship sessions and having to debug your application, be like, hey, I'm missing comma here, you have a typo there, we can actually dive deep on what matters. We can review your algorithms, make that code better. We can rework your test code. We can build an additional feature on top of what we've currently built. And that's really how you get your knowledge to the next step, rather than just going like typo here, missing semicolon. That doesn't help you get to the next level, even though it feels good. But using the mentorship sessions to push yourself and stretch yourself, that's where they come in. And that's why our mentors, who are really world-class and like senior web developers at the leading tech companies in the world, really shine by getting you to that next level. Now, the other thing we have is the virtual office hours. And personally, I'm a huge fan of the office hours because that's a time when all of our students come together and they interact with each other, right? We all see each other in a video conference, so we see all our faces, and then all kinds of questions go, right? And there's mentors involved, oftentimes of guest mentors, and they help out solving troubleshooting, right? So if you're just starting in year week 1, you see people who are in week 10, and you see what they're discussing about the algorithms. You might not understand everything, but you see, oh, that's the path where I'm going. It's really interesting. Now, likewise, if you're in week like 5, 6, 7, and you see somebody in week 1 or 2 asking a question, oftentimes you can pick up that question and answer it, and then you have that valuable teach back moment that actually teaches you like in a different way. It solidifies your learning in a different way when you teach back, right? Those are our weekly office hours. And then we also have the agile team meetings, right? So when you're in a group project, you meet together with your team and your mentor once a week as well. So during the last 4 or 5 weeks of the program, you have your mentorship sessions, you have the group project, and you have the agile team meetings. That's 3 hours a day, 3 hours per week. We actually have to meet with individual mentors and the whole team. So that's the support system, right? And now I said I'm going to answer that one question, which I always get is like, what can I do besides like launching my own MVP or finding a job, right? And that's like you can create. You have an idea, you sit down for a weekend, you code up your web application, you ship it live, and you can test it and see if people like that idea. And that, I think, is one of the most powerful things you can get out of any program. And getting that from us so you can build the advanced web application, that's really key. So now, guys, this is pretty much it, running you guys through the core curriculum, how we build the 5 web applications, how we customize our curriculums for entrepreneurs and for job seekers. Now, I want to see if you guys have any questions, right? Go in, put it in the Google Plus, on the Google Plus page on the little box, put it in there. Also, feel free to email me. All of you guys should have my emails. Happy to answer them. I already received a whole bunch of questions. So let me jump in and see how I can answer those questions. All right. So here's a few emails coming in. People applying to the Firehose intro right now. I love it. Okay, Chris, you asked a question. How often do we meet with mentors? Okay, so mentorship session, we meet once a week for a full hour. Here's why. In the beginning, we had it split up half hours here, there, so you have multiple mentorship sessions a week. Didn't work out because it always ended up being a troubleshooting session where you ask like 2, 3 questions and then time was up. Rather, with a full hour, we can pair program and actually code together with you and go really deep on something that matters for you. Refactoring that algorithm, writing more software tests, building out an additional feature. In a half hour, we can't even really start on that, right? So once a week for 1 hour with your mentor. Then you have the other hour in the office hours where there's mentorship, where there's mentors as well. And then you have a group project down the line where you have mentors as well. So in effect, you're getting 2 hours for the first 8 weeks a week, and then you're getting 3 hours per week for the last 4 weeks of the program. Cool. What happens if I have questions in between mentor meetings? Group project meetings, that's when you have questions to be answered because there's a mentor around. Office hours as well, they're every Wednesday, middle of the week. And then your forum, obviously, that's where we get back to you as well. Oftentimes, some things we design to not click immediately, right? You're going through and you're like, okay, I don't know what that one piece of code does. We have precise instructions on how to deal with those situations that we handle during the onboarding sessions with all of our students. So you know exactly what to do when something doesn't quite click, how to make it click a few hours later. And that's usually what we handle during the onboarding session, which I usually handle with all our students that are starting, or a few other mentors as well. What resources do I have access to after graduation? Everything. So you have lifetime access to all our guides. Right now, we still have it set up, so anytime we add a new guide to it, we add more lessons to it, you still have access to that too. And we're obviously improving our lessons consistently because software development never sleeps, and there's always new open source code coming out, so we're consistently improving that. What search prep resources are available? Man, Chris, you got a lot of questions, love those. Okay, so first of all, this job preparation really starts in week 2, right? This is not something we tack on. This is something that we take seriously, and it starts with teaching you how to actually read and write and build really good algorithms, because that's what you will be tested on during the job application process, right? In the technical interview, and please go to our blog post and you see like how to, what the technical interview really means and what happens in there and how we prepare people for that. So you can read that up on our blog, blog.thefirehoseproject.com. So knowing how to write algorithms is really crucial, and we start that in week 2. And then obviously we review your LinkedIn and we can do mock interviews with you and review your resume. But those are not important. What's most important is 2 things. You know how to write the algorithms, and you're working on a group project, and you having what's called a pull request. Think about it as your own code, but nicely documented, and the discussion of how you refactor that code all in one place, and that's what we should send the hiring managers. And that's what sets you apart. Seeing publicly your code, your critique, how you reacted to that, how you refactored your code. That's what's much more important than review of resumes, because that's what you were judged on. And having that for an advanced web application that you built together with the team is huge. So what will the coursework prepare me for? I guess I've answered that already, right? So that is kind of like, you're now able to build web applications, landing that job, right? Being able to work in a team, being a high impact employee from day 1, that's what you're getting. Great questions. Like him. Let's see, what else do we have? Great, there's more Firehose intro applications coming through. Love those. Keep them coming. Okay, let's see if we have anything on the Google Plus page. Nope, not yet, but there's more emails coming through. All right, here's another one. What's the application process? Okay, already mentioned that, right? Go to thefirehoseproject.com, top nav, get started, hit that, take a moment to fill out the pre-work application. We review those, we set up an account for you, help you get started, review your code. That's if you solve all the coding challenges, we accept you into the full program. What's the weekly time commitment? Weekly time commitment is a minimum of 20 hours per week. So I have lots of students who go through our program while they hold a full-time job. We also have a lot of students who go through our program without a full-time job. This is what they do. They put in 40 hours a week or more, and it works just as well. We scale up the curriculum really easily there, so it's really flexible. But again, the minimum is 20 hours dedicated coding time per week. What's the difference between us and competitors? Quite frankly, I don't see anything out there like we have it. It's not like a difference. It's like just fundamentally completely different approach to learning. What we're doing is, and then there's, I think, 3 main things that set us apart by like miles. And that's the depth of the curriculum, that we're focusing on algorithmic training so much. It really matters when you get a job. Building advanced web applications. We don't build simple things. We built something that a lot of our students actually used and so love as consulting work, and made their tuition back really quickly that way. And then we also do the group project. That's the second thing, right? It really matters that you know that as a career seeker, how to work together as a team. Otherwise, you're not valuable to anyone on day 1. They first need to train you. And if you already have the choice between somebody who's already trained and working on a team versus none, it's so easy who I'm going to pick. The last one is Dementors. I don't see any other competitor out there, other bootcamp, having the same quality of mentors. Our mentors, they come from places like PayPal, eBay, Yahoo, Product Hunt. They've been VP of Engineering at Techstars. They work at leading universities as assistant computer science professors, right? They built startups before and launched them. They raised millions of dollars. Those are the mentors that you're getting. There's no way you have access to them anywhere outside of our program. So that's what we're giving you as well. So the depth of the curriculum, the group project, and the world-class mentors. Combining those, I think there's just nothing that even comes close. Why is a group project so important? I think I mentioned that before, right? Group project is really important because it sets you apart from what you can do, and you can really prove that you can actually code together as a team, and you learn all these important things. It's the bread and butter of being a web developer, and we see that over and over again, right? Our students telling us, I got that job because I knew how to code as a team and I built something important. I got that job because I know how to write algorithms. Like, you sit in a technical interview and people like, you say, I know algorithms, here's one. And you start demonstrating what you know, and people start smiling because they recognize how challenging that is. And you knowing how to do that is really something that resonates with them because they know how to do that too, right? The senior web developers, those are the ones that you need to impress because they make the hiring decision. Group project, likewise, they code as a team every single day, and knowing how to do that is really crucial. Great question. So let's see, what else do we have? What are some of our graduates doing now? I think, there's obviously people who looking for jobs. We just had a graduate north of Pittsburgh. He wrote just a blog post. Why he landed a job was because he knew the algorithms. And I think he's featured on our alumni page too. He works now for a Rails consulting company, building web applications for a variety of clients. We have students out in LA who sold cars before, used cars as a parking lot, and now they're working for a startup, Sensei. Really good. We have students in New York. They're working for Artsy right now. Artsy maps the genome of music, similar to what Pandora does. They map the genome of, Artsy maps the genome of art, and Pandora, similar to Pandora, maps the genome of music. And Artsy raised like 30 million plus in venture funding, so they're really successful. And that's why our students are working. Our students are currently also coming from Indiegogo, students like from Indiegogo going through our program, from Microsoft as well, a few people from Apple in there too. So that's where I would draw our students, and those are the places that put the faith in us that we have actually something that's really valuable. So, and then graduates, again, they also build applications. Like Stephen, I always like to tell his story because he built an on-demand medical Mariana delivery app that you can track on your phone. You see the car, similar to Uber or Lyft, coming to your destinations. You walk down, you grab the bag, payment is already handled, and he has hundreds of paying customers on his application, and he just launched a few months ago. So that's something that our students are pulling off, and it's really, I'm really proud of them, and it's something that's definitely possible because they get all the skills that they need. Let's see, do we have any other questions? I think I want to do it. You do most of the questions. Oh, Chris, here's another one. Are you willing to put potential applicants in touch with graduates? Yeah, sure, definitely. Reach out to me. You already have my email. Definitely put you in touch. You can also go through the pre-work. There's definitely some graduates who will reach out to you if you go through the pre-work and double check on your code and look through that when you're still in the pre-work, right? Not in the main program. And then what jobs do seeing graduates get? Anything like web developers, right? Web developers, Rails engineers. Another student works for Ennoc. It's a multinational company. They do energy monitoring software, so he's a Rails engineer there. Anything from startups to like big tech companies. What about the growing popularity of front-end frameworks? Is it still worth learning Ruby and Rails? Jeremy, great question. We just published a blog post, Node.js versus Rails, and why JavaScript is the wrong tool to learn as a beginner for most of the jobs. So you want to learn Ruby as your first programming language, the Rails framework, and add JavaScript on top of it, but not the front-end frameworks. It will slow your learning down tremendously. Go to our blog, blog.thefirehoseproject.com. It's about a 20-minute read. It will run you through detail, step by step, all the different pieces of a web application, what that means, all the different moving pieces, and then you will understand and can actually make a fully informed decision. It's a great question. It's a tricky one because there's so much hype about Angular and Node.js, but for beginner, that's not the way to go. What is your placement rate? Chris, go to our website. In the top, there's the Coding Bootcamp guide. Go to, I think, chapter 7, and there's metric, or chapter 6, metrics that matter and what metrics that don't matter and what actually matters. Placement rate does not matter because placement rate, all the boot camps fabricate that. It's totally useless if I tell you 90% or 100% because everyone goes like a different way of measuring that and you can't compare that. So that's a metric that does not matter. What matters is that I tell all our graduates, do not accept job offers below 65,000. Obviously, there's regions where that should be higher, but that's the average. And so far, all of our graduates, when I have a call with them after they graduated and check in with them, they just smile when I ask them about that. And they say, oh yeah, don't worry about that. I got that totally covered. So that's what matters. Like, what's the starting salaries of your students, not what's the job placement rate. Because giving you an unpaid intern, I can hire all our graduates as unpaid interns. Boom, we had 100% success rate, right? That means nothing. Okay, cool. Is there more questions coming in? I love it. There's so many questions. Did I miss one? No. So again, Chris, go to our site, right? Read the Coding Bootcamp guide. This gives you also no nonsense questions to ask when you look around and really look under the hood of what matters for Coding Bootcamp in technical education. And we wrote that guide because there's so much misinformation out there. It's not a marketing guide. It's like, oh, we're the best. It's really like, this is what matters. And this you can totally forget, right? There's so many people who don't know how to code and they write all these guides on what matters and what not and think about metrics. And it's just a lot of hot air. Are your mentors full-time with Firehose? No, they're not full-time with Firehose. There are some, but the majority is not full-time. The reason being is if you're working on a team, like let's say at PayPal, right, or Product Hunt, and then you get a mentor as well. That is so valuable for you because not only does that mentor know a lot of people and can introduce you to because they're active in the tech community, but they also like can take your can teach you and show you the latest things that they'll learn while they're on the job. Full-time mentors, you start to slowly digress in your skills because you're not on the cutting edge. So getting a mentor who's actually working on a top-notch team is really valuable for you. Good question, Chris. Let's see what else we got. Maybe I got another email. No, didn't. All right, cool. Let's see. Guys, I think those are all the questions. I want to wrap this up soon too. It's coming at the half-hour mark. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Email me. Happy to answer them. In the meantime, right, go to theFirehoseProject.com, top nav, apply to the pre-work, get started, hit that button, fill that out, and start coding with us, right? Stop doing research, stop talking, start writing code and actually learn something, work on your coding fundamentals, you can make up your mind how you like us, and you can use those same skills for any other school if you want to. But I'm pretty sure once you go through our pre-work, there will be no doubts in your mind that this is really the best stuff out there. So this was super fun. Thanks so much for asking all the questions. I see you guys around. Thumbs up. Thanks for coming. Stay awesome and take it easy. Bye, guys.